Hello there and welcome back to another gluten-free, lactose-free and yeast-free baking video. How are we doing today? Today I'm going to be making some cinnamon sugar cookies, and of course they're going to be gluten-free, lactose-free and yeast-free. You will be needing the following equipment: some scales, some measuring spoons, some baking paper, 2 cookie sheets or baking trays, some spray oil, a spatula, 1 large mixing bowl, a wooden spoon or electric hand whisk, a rolling pin, a chopping board, although this is completely optional, it's just because mine isn't a kitchen worktop, a cookie cutter, I am using a 2 3/4 inch one, a palette knife, and finally a cooling rack. You will also be needing the following ingredients: 113 grams of butter softened, I like to use lactofree butter, 113 grams of caster sugar, half a medium-sized egg beaten, I will show you how to do this in just 1 second, 265 grams of gluten-free self-raising flour, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and finally some icing sugar for rolling. So, let's go! So to half our egg, what we're going to do is place our empty bowl into our scales and turn our scales on, setting them to 0, which mine now are. Place all of this egg into our new bowl. Come on, lovely. So 51, that's not helpful because it's not an even number. So half of 50 is 25, half of 1 is 0.5. So we're going to do 25 or 26 grams for it. So we're going to take this bowl out and add our bowl that originally had our egg into our scales and set that to 0. And now we are basically going to pour 25 or 26 grams of this egg into this bowl. 25, bang on the money. Right, so now that that is done, we're going to place it off to the side until we're ready to use it. First things first, measure out and prepare all of your ingredients so that they're completely ready for you to use, and then preheat your oven to 180 degrees C on a conventional oven, 160 degrees C on a fan oven, or gas mark 4. Now that that is all done, we will now need to begin to prepare our trays or cookie sheets. So for this we will be needing our baking trays or cookie sheets, our spray oil and our baking paper. So now all we are going to do is grab our baking paper, measure it to the size of our cookie sheets, and you can either use scissors or personally I am just, when it does, going to tear it off. Spray the cookie sheet or baking paper with some spray oil just to keep it down, keep the baking paper attached while I'm baking. And there we go, all done. So now repeat this with your other cookie sheet or baking tray and then place them off to the side until we're ready to bake. So now that we've done all that nasty prep work, it is now time to begin actually making our cookies. So for this we will be needing our wooden spoon or electric hand whisk, our large mixing bowl, our spatula and all of our ingredients except for the icing sugar. So the first thing we're going to do is place all of our butter into our mixing bowl. Followed by our caster sugar. And now we're going to beat these together until they are light and fluffy. You on one? Yes. And now that that is all done, we are going to add our egg. And now we're going to beat this lot together until we have a nice smooth mixture. So now I'm going to add all of my flour. When it decides to happen. Go on, go on. There we go. And all of my cinnamon. So now I'm going to mix this lot together until it equals a stiff dough, but just before it finishes mixing, I'm going to scrape around the sides of the bowl and then finish mixing it. I'm going to show you this, so I'm telling you I don't know, but I do this in every video, so I better keep up with tradition, I reckon. Don't worry if yours has become like a bit bitty and a bit knobbly, that's exactly what mine has done. So I'm just going to scrape around the sides and make sure it's all coming together so I don't lose anything. And now I'm just going to give it one final mix for good luck. There we go. I would say that that is about there. So I'm just going to press it together a bit with my spatula. There we go. Good stiff ball of cookie dough. So now that this is all done, we are now going to need our icing sugar, our rolling pin and our chopping board or worktop surface. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually prepare my worktop or my cookie sheet in my case. I'm going to put some icing sugar on top. I'm using icing sugar over flour because I find that the flour can dry the cookies out, whereas if I use icing sugar it will add a bit more sweetness, and it kind of does the same thing, but use whatever you prefer. Oh shoot, without taking that out would be good. Okay, so now that that is all done, I'm going to half my dough because that'll be easier to manage than the entire thing. Plus then you don't work the dough too much. And place that onto my work surface. Just get these last scriggly bits off. And now I'm going to grab my rolling pin and put some icing sugar onto that as well. There we go. And now we're going to roll this out until it is 1/4 of an inch thick. Perfecto. So now that this is all done, we are now going to need our cookie cutter, our palette knife and our prepared cookie sheet or baking tray. So now I'm just going to begin cutting out my shapes. Okay, and now using my palette knife, I am going to slowly but surely edge these up and place them onto my cookie sheet. So now that that first lot is done, re-roll out your dough and do the cutting again. Place them onto your cookie sheets or baking tray and then repeat with the second half of your dough. So now that that is all finished and done, it is now time to place our cookies into our preheated oven for 14 minutes. After that time, we're going to take them out of the oven, placing them onto a cooling rack to cool completely. And that is it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out the description below as I love everything in it, including the recipe for these lovely cookies and all the links to all of the flour and equipment you will need for this recipe. If you do make these at home, don't forget to tag me on Instagram and use the hashtag bakingwithvickiie so that I can see all your lovely creations. Let me know in the comments below of anything else you'd like to see me make, gluten, lactose or yeast free, as I do them all. And finally, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time. Bye!